I quit my full-time job when I first started making comics, and I did that for 2 years. I didn't make any money making comics, and then I had to go back and get a 9 to 5 and do the 9 to 5 with doing comics at the same time. Welcome to the YouNeek Show, where we talk about all things YouNeek Studios, African geekdom, and the business of creators. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the YouNeek Show. My name is Roye Okupe. I am the CEO and founder of YouNeek Studios. Co-host, who are you?
Jay Abaje in the house, super fan of YouNeek Studios and of the Niger Nerds as well. How you all doing today? Give us your responses to everything you see in the comments. We're looking forward to reading and hearing from you. A lot of that goes into what becomes the format of the show as this continues to evolve. So
yeah,
happy to be here. Let's go.
Especially this this segment that we do, business of creators. If there's stuff that you guys want us to discuss, if you want help with stuff, if you want advice about anything creator related, please put it in the comments, and Jay and I will do our best to address it. But that being said, what are we talking about today?
Yep, today's episode, you guys are gonna love it. Under the business of creators, there's a series of topics that have been covered. Today, we're going to be talking about how to survive while chasing your dreams, aka how not to die a star.
You said it. I did not.
I don't want to wake up one day and find out that you've become the next creative artist whose work survived and became famous after you died. No,
I know, right?
let's keep you alive long enough to enjoy some of the recognition.
Amen to that. Amen.
So, how to survive while chasing your dreams. By the way, before we even get into this, important to know, I want to say this. Roye is amazing at not just putting his thoughts down into easily digestible formats, but he puts it out there in a way you can either listen to, you can watch, and you can read. And if you go to the website, you can go to YouNeekStudios.com/survive chasing dream, and you will get more. You read this, what we're going to be talking about today, but also you're going to get a lot more if you get into that and see a lot more context, right? So we're going to hear from the man himself. Let's talk about all the 7 steps you outlined. Again, 7, good number. This guy.
Yep.
Steps. So let's go. Let's go. I want to hear more.
Yeah. So just to put it out there, these are things that I've personally done myself. So I'm talking from experience. But obviously, this is what works for me. You may take this, you may tweak it to work for you as well. So I just want to make sure I put that out there. In no way am I saying this is the absolute foolproof 100%. It works all the time. I'm just saying this is what works for me. And like anybody else, if I was listening to this, I would take what works for me out of that and implement it. So that being said, number 1 is you got to have a vision. One of my favorite Bible passages is that without the vision, the people perish. And I think that this is something that a lot of people fall into, get into trouble with, is that they start out but they don't put out a long-term plan. I think we were talking about it on a previous show when you asked me the question, the unique universe, like, okay, the planning, like how far out was I putting all these different Easter eggs? When I was writing EXO, I knew loosely what I wanted to do with Malika and the Windmaker. That's how far out I had thought about things. Like, I'm talking about 4, 5, 6 years. Now, it doesn't mean the plan is not going to change. It doesn't mean that the plan is stamped and it must always be like this. It just means that you have a guide and you have a path that you can move on, and if need be, self-correct as you move forward. So it's very, very important. Whatever you're doing, you want to be a writer, you want to write a comic, you want to do animation, you want to create video games. I don't even care. Like, even just with life, if you're not a creator, you always have to have a vision and say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm trying to go, and these are the steps that I'm going to take to get there.
Very important. I think one of the best things about having a vision for me personally is just knowing that it helps you recognize not just where you want to go, but where you don't want to go. Because once you have a clear picture, you sat down and thought through your ideal scenario.
Yeah.
You'll run into things, because life will throw you distractions. Life will throw you things that are also
constantly
just as good, almost as good.
Yeah.
And the ability to say, you know what? I don't need this.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like the vision.
Exactly.
Let's get there first, then we can maybe figure out how to get to the other thing. So that ties into the second point.
Yep. Point number two is be ready to make a lot of sacrifices. Um,
And
nobody wants to hear.
a lot. Like he
Nobody.
didn't say, I hate to make sacrifices. Be ready to make a lot
A lot, a
of
lot.
sacrifices.
Nothing good comes easy.
Mm.
Honestly, I'm a living testimony to that. Nothing good comes easy. I strongly believe in that. You're going to have to, especially like I said, the bigger your dream, the bigger the sacrifice, right? And I'm not saying this from a negative standpoint where I'm saying, oh, you can't have fun in your life, you can never have good things. I'm just saying that, you know, you might have to take certain steps where it's like, okay, I want to, go out every Friday night, every weekend, and I need to stop doing that for a few months, years, to take that time to finish this book that I'm working on, as opposed to going out and partying, right?
Mm.
Or you might want to make sure that, okay, because I'm trying to be a creator, whatever creative space that I'm in, I need to reduce my expenses. I can't necessarily buy the most expensive car. I can't necessarily, you eat DoorDash every day and Grubhub every day. I'm talking to myself. So there's
I
I feel
feel
like that's my
attacked.
wife talking, not me,
I feel
actually.
attacked. I feel
I'm
oh,
I'm attacked constantly about that. Those Grubhub fees, they be adding up. My goodness, man.
bro.
Those fees, they be adding up. But like I said, you're gonna have to, and I know we're joking, but I'm being very serious. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to make a lot of sacrifices. And there are things that you're gonna want to do that you're gonna have to say, in this season that I'm chasing this dream, or that I'm writing this book, or that I'm be working on this short film, I can't do X, Y, and Z. I need to really, really focus and follow through the vision that I wrote and I set out for myself.
Very, very key. Very, very key. I like the way you wrote it down in one of the notes where you said you capital letters will go through pain
Yeah, you
as
will.
you actually work to get this.
Yeah,
But then you touched on something, which is some of the examples you gave
yeah,
about having to conserve your expenses,
yeah,
cut back and focus your expenses.
yeah.
Which I guess that goes back to the third point, right? Which is it's important to have a plan.
Yeah, you need to have a solid financial plan.
As you
Notice I
can tell,
still,
he's big on the adjective. He
yeah,
can't just say the thing. Like you have to have a
you have
vision.
to have it. No, no,
Yeah, make sacrifices. A
a
lot
lot.
of sacrifices. You need a plan. A
A
solid
solid financial plan.
financial
This is one that I think most, if not all, creative people struggle with. Not necessarily because they don't want to make the plan, but this is very hard. It was hard for me. So I've said this before. I don't know, a lot of people know, but I quit my full-time job when I first started making comics. And I did that for 2 years. I didn't make any money making comics. And then I had to go back and get a 9 to 5 and do the 9 to 5 with doing comics at the same time. um there's a lot of success stories that we see about people, they get their books, they're being adapted for TV and film animation. I know I'm one of those people now. I'm very thankful. But to get to that point, and this ties to the sacrifices, a lot of times people don't understand that, especially in comics, it's not very lucrative, right? So you have to be very careful with how you manage yourself financially. My own thing is that, like, there's no one path to success in terms of having a solid financial plan. One person might quit their full-time job, get a side hustle, and they're doing their creative thing at the same time. A lot of artists do this, right? So because they can draw, they are drawing and they're writing their comics at the same time, but they're taking on commission work. They're doing other people's comics, they're getting paid for that, and then they're using that money to survive while they're creating their own comic. Some people like me would get a 9 to 5 job. It's funny, with COVID now, a lot of people do remote work. Like, remote work is becoming, especially here over in the United States, a
plan.
big thing. So that's something that helped me, is that I was able to work remotely, work from home while I was doing my own thing, as well too. Some people have a spouse where they can quit their job and focus on that, focus on thing while focus on their creative work while living on the income of a spouse. Like I said, everybody's way is different. Just know what you're doing and have a solid plan and execute that plan to the best of your abilities. Just because one person did this way doesn't mean that that's the way you have to do it. Just because I did this one way, it doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. And the last thing I would say, don't be ashamed if you have to, be doing all these different hustles. There's no need for us to be pretending like, oh, I'm making a lot of money as a creator. And I know I see that sometimes, and it's just like, it's not necessarily the best thing. Like, I think we even have to tell people the truth. Like, sometimes, yeah, like I said, I didn't make money for 3 or 4 years. I didn't pay myself in YouNeek Studios for about 4 years.
Mm.
And that was not the easiest thing to go through. So know what you're getting into first of all, and have a solid financial plan. Sorry, I know I spent a lot of time on that, but this
No,
this
no,
is
no.
very
You,
important.
you you actually kind of blended elements of the third, fourth, and fifth points, which is really
Yeah,
good.
this is
That's
what
good.
happens when I talk too much.
Well, actually, let's be real. This is what happens in life. In life, life will not throw the solutions to you in a very
Yeah.
simple step-by-step way. Sometimes it's very awkward to figure it
Hmm.
out. Like you talked about having the support of the right people around you,
Yeah.
something that's very key, because the only
Yeah.
way you could have made it for 2 3 years without making any money is to have
Yeah.
encouragement, support, whether it's
Exactly.
emotional support or actual financial support. Just
Exactly.
believe in you, so you want to get
Exactly.
that support system. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that you touched on there.
Yeah.
And then
So
you also touched
I'll
on getting a job again at some point. I guess
yeah.
that would probably be considered a side hustle, because your in
Yeah.
your mind, your main focus is, you know, you
Yeah.
were a creator, but you had
Yeah.
to get a job to pay some bills.
Yeah, exactly. So number four is get a side hustle if you can. If you can, I put that at the end.
Yeah.
Get a side hustle, because again, that was my personal story. It became a huge financial burden on my family,
Mhm.
being having just living on one person's income. And at that point, I had to make a decision to go back and get to a 9 to 5. And I was embarrassed about that initially,
Yeah.
but I found out that, why are you getting embarrassed? You're taking care of your family. That's nothing to be embarrassed about. Coming to think of it, like, now that I look back, the reason I was embarrassed was because I had a picture in my head where the moment I quit my job, I had to be successful in my business. And it just doesn't work that way sometimes. And just because you adjust the plan doesn't mean that you failed in the plan. It just means that you're taking a detour, not even necessarily a detour, you're taking another route that's probably in the future going to end up being the best decision that you made, because it was for me. Because having a 9 to 5 and a side hustle allowed me to make better decisions that were not motivated by, I need money now, let me just take whatever deal that I can. I was able to take my time and
Do
you
what
know
was best for
do
you
what was best for
and the
me.
characters that you had. Yeah.
Exactly, and the characters that I have. And then real quick, number five, like I said, get a support system. It's not just about even financial, like, get in the indie community space. There's a lot of people doing the same thing you are trying to do, whether it's filmmaking, writing, publishing, video game, whatever the case, acting. Like, there's people out there that are trying to do the same thing that you're doing at different aspects of their career. And something that really helped me was being in the independent community. I still am, and getting encouragement for people at conventions and seeing what other people are doing and learning from them was a huge bonus for me.
Yeah, that positive affirmation. And you touched
Yeah.
on learning, which is something I think is we're tackling in the next step, which is educating yourself, right?
Yeah. You never stop learning. Even till now, like where I am right now, I always try to figure out, okay, what is the next thing that I need to get better at? And you don't always learn from people above you. Sometimes you learn from people that are, on the opposite side, coming up as well too, because they are doing something different than you did when you were at their level. So there's always something to learn from everybody,
Mhm.
and never ever put yourself in a point where, oh no, what is this person doing that there's nothing I can learn from them. You should never be pompous or so arrogant that you think that you've made it, essentially. And I think that's the humility for me is a very, very big thing. And it's something that has been very rewarding for me, because I've never felt like I've arrived at any point in my career. And that's something that's always driven me to continuously try to figure out how to get better,
Mhm.
and also treat people the right way as well.
Very important stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, I think the final step here is really, really important. It doesn't sound like it at first, but then you think about it in the context of surviving while chasing your dreams. This makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Yeah. The last thing is that honestly, the ultimate dream should be to live a happy life and, spread love to other people while doing that. That in itself is, I think, the most rewarding part of my journey personally is not necessarily getting all these good things that are happening. This is very good, but to be able to do something like this, right? To be able to share my experience and to be able to just be happy at any point that I am,
Mm.
whether it was like just starting out or just writing my first book or getting a deal with Dark Horse or getting a deal with HBO. At each point in time, I try to find happiness at each point and not determine or not put my happiness on what I'm going to get in the next step. I'll be happy when, I think, is an accident that a lot of people make. You
Yeah,
should be happy in the moment and do your best that you can. Do the best that you can with what you have, but always be grateful for where you're at as well.
yeah, yeah. Well, on that note, we've come to the end of our discussion today. Again, a reminder, if you want to get the details and get in depth with some of these points, go to the YouNeek Studios website, look
Hmm.
or search on the YouNeek Studios website for Survive Chasing Dream, and you'll find the full article that goes into all these 7 steps, which are:
Yeah,
number one, have a vision;
yeah.
number two, be ready to make a lot sacrifices; number three, have a solid financial plan.
Yeah,
Solid
yeah,
financial plan.
yeah.
Get a side hustle. I'm surprised he didn't say a good side hustle, but he did say if you can, because not
Yeah,
everybody can do it,
yeah,
but it's important to do that. Number five, you can get a support system,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And number six, educate yourself, people.
Yeah,
Educate yourself. Learn
yeah,
always. And
yeah,
the final one, ultimately, aim to live a happy life spreading love.
yeah,
Because you have that as the goal.
yeah.
At the end of the day, you'll find that you'll be get happy where you are, and you
Exactly,
figure out how to give happiness to others around you, and not
exactly.
be a drain, and not be negative, and not get into a dark place because things maybe don't quite get where you thought they would get to at any point in time.
That's perfectly put, my friend.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, tell them where they can find you, man.
UneekStudios.com, at Unique Studios on all social media platforms. We'll be on the metaverse soon, wherever that is. I don't know where that is. Is that in the cloud? Yeah, but at Unique Studios on all social media platforms, and yeah, you can hear more tidbits like this on the on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, so DM us and say hi.
Yes, you can. And you can find me at Nuru, the Nerd Guru, on Instagram, Twitter, social media, everywhere. If I don't like what you say to me, I will block you. But for the meantime, I'm very open to living a happy life and spreading love while doing that. So let's talk.
All right, guys, take
Everyone.
it easy. Bye, guys.